So today I've got on my dad, father, Frank Ciambriello, owner, founder, AFC Mortgage Group. I guess that's the title you still run with today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So super excited to have you on today, Dad, because today we're not going so much into a little bit high level, your background and story, but more so wanted to do this, which, by the way, we will do in the future because I think it's great for grandkids, my nephews, your grandkids, and my kids in the future. But AFC Mortgage Group, how we started, your background, how we got to where we are today, 25 years later, where we are today. I'll talk about kind of where we are, that's where the transition is, and where we're headed. And super excited because I think people should know how the company started, core values that we have now. A lot of them embody you, and what our unique, 3 uniques are, our sales process, and just how you got started in the business to bring it to where it is today, and then where we're headed.
Okay.
So to give everybody a little background, talk about Nonno and Nonna, your mom and dad. Where did they come from? How did you end up here?
So both my parents were born in Italy, raised in Italy.
Yep.
My dad was actually
It's early 1930s they were born.
Yeah, my dad was one of 10 in Italy. So my grandparents would come to America. They eventually came to America, stayed for a few years, and then the Depression hit. So they went back to Italy. They had land, so they were able to work off the land. They had a lot of land, so they actually hired people in Italy to work for them. But all the kids worked there. So slowly, they came back to America, and one by one, the kids actually came.
Yeah, to U.S.
To the U.S. Nonno was the last one to actually come back. He stayed there. He worked there, and that's where he met Nonna back in Italy. So they dated for a while, decided to get married. So what my father did was he came to America first.
Yeah.
He worked, saved up.
While Nonna was still in Italy?
Still in Italy. They weren't married yet. And then he bought a house. He was, I think, the first one of his brothers and sisters to actually buy a house here.
In Bridgeport?
In Bridgeport.
Where in Bridgeport?
Catherine Street.
Where you grew up?
Where I grew up.
So buys a house. Does he go back? Nonna comes over?
Goes back, gets married. Then they both come over here to America. And the whole family's here now.
Gotcha.
All 10 kids. And Nonna came from 7. So 2 of her brothers, when they were there in 1920, didn't want to work on the farm anymore. So they actually went to Australia. And the rest of her siblings are still in Italy.
Wow. So when Nonno comes here, they have kids. You're born then.
Yeah.
And tell a little bit about, so what did Nonno do for work? Nonno and Nonna.
Well, he came here, he was working construction to start with.
Yep.
He actually worked on 95 back in the day. Then he worked at Nancy Lynn Bakery, where they made pies and cakes and all that stuff for a while.
Yep.
And then he got a job at Sikorsky Aircraft. So he worked there for 29 years or so, something like that. And he was a tow motor driver.
Just drove around all day.
Drove around.
What time did his day start?
I think work started for him at 7.
Oh, okay.
But he'd be leaving the house at 6. Go get his coffee.
Yeah.
Go sit at work for 45 minutes, bullshit with the guys.
No way.
Stuff like that. And then he started.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that part, actually. He went to Dunkin' Donuts every time, right?
Same. The lady knew exactly what he wanted. The coffee was ready by the time he got in the front of the line.
This was before Dunkin' Donuts was known for the leaky cups. So they had good brand awareness at the time. That is so funny. So Nonno works at Sikorsky 25 years.
Yep.
You grow up, you go to St. Augustine?
I went to St. Joseph's.
First
For 3 years.
in
They closed
Bridgeport.
up.
Yep. Then you went to
St. Augustine's.
After that.
After that.
St. Augustine's till 8th grade.
And then went to
Notre Dame at Fairfield.
Correct.
Class of 79.
Correct.
Then you graduate and you go work at Sikorsky. And this is such an interesting story. Can you share how you got the job at Sikorsky?
So wasn't sure I wanted to even go to college at that point. So my father says, well, go put applications in here, and there. So I went to Sikorsky.
Is he already working at Sikorsky at this time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He was there already 10, 12 years. So I go into the hiring room. You fill out an application, and back in the day, you would sit there and just sit for a half hour or so, and you basically left. And there were like 30, 35 people there before I even got there.
So the hiring room's packed.
Packed. So I fill out an application. I figure I'm going to sit here for a half hour or so. And then all of a sudden, from the back room, I see a kid that went to Notre Dame with me, but he was a year younger than me. He sees me. I see him. And my first thought is, what is he doing here? So I go up to him. His name was Mike. I said, Mike, what are you doing here? He says, I work in the summers in the kitchen. I said, okay, now that makes sense. He works in some. And he asked me, what are you doing? I just put an application in. That was it.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, have a good day, whatever. Not 10 minutes later, a lady comes out of the back room and says, Frank Ciambriello calls me. And I had no clue because there were 30, 35 people there already. Go in the back room. She says, I want you to go to the Myers building in Stratford on Monday. Go meet Joe Dolan.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. I didn't know if I had a job yet or anything. So the following Monday, I go down there. I walk into the guard shack. And the second I walk into the guard shack, I look over, and I see someone who's the foreman there. And his daughter and I graduated at Notre Dame. We were in the plays together at Notre Dame. So he sees me, I see him. We wave. Then Joe comes, sits me down, talks to me for a little bit. He says, come Monday and start.
No way.
That was it. Little did I know that Mike,
your buddy who's a year younger than you that was worked in the kitchen during the summers.
His father was the head of HR. So he went back there, must have said something to his dad, and that's how I got the job.
Unbelievable.
The stars were aligned perfectly for that. That's the only way I can think of it.
Yeah, it's funny. That's always how things I feel like work. Relationships, running into people, and why you never know what can happen. So you work at Sikorsky for 20 years?
18 years.
18 years. Towards the end of that, you start thinking about leaving. No.
Yeah, I moved up the chain. I was a lead man, got a salary job, which I really liked, designing packaging. Had somewhat of a layoff, so I was the one that was getting laid off, put back on the clock. Wasn't happy about it, but it is what it is.
Yep.
And
on the clock means hourly?
Yeah, hourly.
Yep.
Still had a good job.
Yeah.
Benefits were good. Everything was still good at Sikorsky, but, I just had this bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
There. So started looking at other things, possibly.
Yep. So I'm born in 97.
Correct.
And you take a 6-month leave when that happens?
So one of my best friends who did work at Sikorsky and then went into the mortgage business was starting his own company, him and a partner of his. So I was intrigued by all this.
Yeah.
I started actually going to his house and learning how to do things.
Oh, no way.
At night, he was kind of teaching me stuff.
While at Sikorsky or during a leave of absence?
While at Sikorsky.
Oh, okay.
So they started their company. Then you were born.
Yep.
Me and your mom saved enough money to make sure we paid all our bills for 6 months.
Yep.
We had money put away, so we didn't have to even worry about it. So then I started with him for 6 months.
Yeah. Now, this is Vic Falco in
Yes.
Trumbull, who's still one of your best friends.
One of my best friends still.
Comes over every Super Bowl. You guys get together every 2 weeks at Roseland
Every
and
2
Derby.
weeks. Yep, absolutely.
So how's it go with Vic?
Vic is the best.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us.
Yeah.
And they're all high school. Pete was kindergarten.
Yep.
Vic and
Pete
Joe.
Peruli.
And Joe DeRiso and Vic Falco were 6th, 7th grade.
Yep. So the best part is that you guys get together, well, the Super Bowl, but also every 2 weeks you go
Every 2
to
weeks
Roseland.
we go to Roseland.
Yeah. That's so funny. And it's just a funny crew and a lot of good stories. So you were with Vic for how long?
Was with Vic
Before he cans you or lays you off.
I was with him for 6 months.
Yeah.
And he had a partner. And,
Didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yep.
So after 6 months, I had to make a decision. Am I going back to Sikorsky?
Yeah.
Or do I try to stay in the
Stick
mortgage
out the mortgage business. Yeah.
And talk to your mom. And she kind of pushed me to go for it.
Yeah. She pushed you to
go
go
for the
the mortgage business and kind of roll the dice.
Right. Because at that time, I'm more conservative.
Yeah.
I would have went back to Sikorsky.
Well, you're conservative now, too.
Right.
But you're still conservative.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I played a lot of racquetball back in the day.
Yep.
I used to teach it. One of my buddies, who was actually a realtor and played racquetball with, talked about a buddy of mine, Ray, we played with. He says he's in Florida. He's a mortgage broker. I had no clue he was a mortgage broker. So I call Ray up, and he tells me, now this was August when I was on my own now. He said in September, we're getting licensed in Connecticut.
August, you don't have a job, you mean? So your friend who's a realtor at the racquetball club in Stratford
Yep.
says, go talk to another guy who's a member here that lives in Florida.
Right.
And then you call up Ray, who lives in Florida, and he says he's opening a mortgage company or open a branch in Connecticut
They
or
were
getting licensed.
in Connecticut. So it kind of all worked out perfect.
Yep.
You know, I started working for him. And I worked for him for probably about a year.
Yep.
And at that point, I decided, you know what? I wanted to pretty much do everything myself.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, everything back then, overnight or fax machines.
Yeah, there's no online
There's none
applications.
of that. Right. There's none of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it was crazy. That's what you had to do. You know, everything was overnight or you had to fax.
Yeah, picking up packets of documents, meeting people in person at their homes probably after work.
Right. If anybody wanted you, we all had pagers. So they paid you, you would look at the number, and then you would have to call somebody back. You know, it was a whole different world back then.
Wow. So in November 1998, you start AFC Mortgage Group
I
as
decided
a brokerage.
that I wanted to go on my own
Yep.
and, you know, do everything on my own. So, yes.
What was it like right away? What'd you have to do to get on board?
Had to get bonded.
Yep.
Had to get investors to add
Lenders.
you, lenders to add
Yep.
you. So I had a room in the house that
Yeah.
was strictly for the office, and these investors would come over the house.
Yeah.
And they would sit with me, and, you know, they would want to know about
And
me.
really quick, when you say investors, at this time we mean lenders. We're matching a borrower and a lender, and you were the broker in between.
Right,
So
exactly.
these lenders that representatives that represent lenders would come to the house.
Exactly. So they'd come in, and I was starting, so I wasn't super busy. So what I did is I had your mom call the office a couple times to make it sound like the phone was ringing.
That is so funny. While she was working
Yes.
as a nurse, you'd have her call during the day.
call.
Yeah, whenever the people were coming in, you gave her the times. That is so funny. Unbelievable. How long did that last for?
You know,
A couple months?
That's it.
Yeah.
I started getting investors on board, or, you know, brokers
Yeah.
places, and it's just started from there. Little by little, you start getting 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. And at that time, you were a one-man shop, though, right?
Yes.
So it was you by yourself, which means you were originating, structuring, submitting loans to lenders, processing them once an approval came out from the investors or the lender's underwriting team, and then working with the borrower to get documents,
Pretty
correct?
much did everything back
And
then.
any documents you had to get, fax or in person.
Exactly. Exactly.
What was it like starting a business? Doing everything yourself?
You know what? It was exciting in
Yeah.
a way because it was new. I really liked what I was doing. I really liked dealing with these people.
Yeah.
You know, there were days, you know, when I started getting busy on my own, I would be working on files, and the next thing I know, it would be 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd go around the clock.
Yeah.
You know, if you had 3, 4 files, and, you know, you're learning everything. So everything was slow. Nothing was fast. That's what happened, round the clock
Yeah.
a few times. So it was nuts. But it was good because when you're excited about what you're doing,
Yeah.
that time doesn't mean anything.
Flies by.
Flies by. As long as you love what you do,
Yeah.
that's the best part of anything.
I said it last night at an event we were at that I love people, and the mortgage business is just the thing that facilitates that relationship to help people and meet people. You know, it wasn't like mortgages was the thing, but then you get into it, you start doing it, you like it, and then you become better at your product knowledge. And then as you get better at things, I think you start to like it more. And I feel like that's how it fell in for me.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's been great. Now, when you started, what was it like pounding the pavement? What were you doing?
Back then,
Yeah.
we
As a
you know,
mortgage guy in the early 2000s, late 90s, what did you do?
I would
to get new business opportunities.
You would have to print up rate sheets, and you would drop them off at real estate offices. So I'd have 3 days where I would go out, and I would drop off to maybe 40 offices. And I had, Newtown, Monroe area. Then I'd have the Trumbull, Bridgeport area. Then I have the Valley with the Milford area. So every week we did that. You drop rate sheets off.
That is awesome.
Hopefully they put them in the realtors' bins. Other days they might have just threw them out. Who knew? But that's what we did. And you go into all these offices, you actually a lot of times would meet people. Back then, especially if they had a problem with the loan, which same thing today. If you have a problem with a loan, they may ask me a question, right? They'll ask me a question because they're having a problem with who they're using. Same thing that happens today.
If you could come up with a solution, help them work something out.
That's
Close
exactly
the loan.
how it starts. A lot of times.
That's how the relationship builds. So from 2000 to 2007, early 2000s, business is ramping up. You're starting to be in it longer, and the market is heating up. And at one point, in 2000, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, you were closing 200 loans a year. And it was just you and one team member, a processor.
Correct.
What was it like then?
We were busy. And I to today, I still can't figure out how I've closed so many loans back then.
With just one, you and one,
two of us.
The
refi business, the rates back then were slowly
coming
going
down.
When I started, I think might have been in the 9s, but every year the rates were coming down, and they were coming down. So the refi business was great back then. Besides the purchase business. So things were really good. We were brokers then. So we took the loan, we gave it to whoever, they underwrote it. My girl in the office, who was Debbie, worked on the conditions. They would close it, so we didn't do anything there either. So our little bucket, we were able to take care of pretty good.
That's great. And she was awesome. So 2007-8 financial crisis comes. You go from closing 200, let's say, loans at the peak, between 150 to 200 a year, to, what was it, 30 or so?
We went all the way down to 30 loans.
That was the lowest, right?
That was the lowest.
And so what happened then? Expenses probably were still there.
Oh, yeah.
Credit card debt, started building up. And then also around that time, Frank Dodd comes out. So you didn't have any loan officers. You might have had one or two, but when Frank Dodd comes out, it required any mortgage professional to get licensed.
Correct. So I had 2 people actually kind of working for me back then. And then when Frank Dodd came out, we had to take a test now. And the test wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And back then, I was licensed in 4 states. New York, Vermont, Mass, and Connecticut. The national test wasn't bad. The other 3 states weren't bad. Connecticut was the toughest state.
Gotcha. So back in the day, it was state. You had to get licensed in every state personally. Today, it's just one national test.
That's
and then you pay a fee to get licensed in every state.
Correct. So it was different back then.
Wow. Now it's probably more of a money grab just to get licensed in every state.
Exactly. Exactly. But the Connecticut test was the hardest.
Okay.
I failed it the first time.
Oh, no way.
I think I needed 75. I got 74.
And you waited 30 days, took it again?
Waited 30 days. I passed the national test prior to, so that was easy. And then past that, and then every test I kept taking, the scores kept going higher and higher.
Oh, good.
It just got easier.
So now we're going to fast forward a little bit. This is where I start getting excited. 2017, become a non-delegated correspondent lender. So we go from brokering, so we're the middleman between a borrower and a lender, to now we become the lender. We're funding loans on our line of credit instead of matching a borrower and a lender. And then we're selling those loans off of our line of credit. The difference is we're not underwriting them at that point in time in 2017. You're still outsourcing underwriting to who the end investor is.
Correct.
So what made you want to go from brokerage to non-delegated correspondent lender?
The biggest thing is controlling the loan. Really controlling the loan. When you have to, worry about someone getting back to you, on a condition or something like that, and you have a time crunch, you have to close somebody quick.
Yeah.
That's where...
In regards to disclosure, sending a CD, typically if you're a broker, lenders are going to want to clear to close in some cases before they will even send a closing disclosure, and then you have to wait 3 days to close.
Right.
As a non-delegated correspondent lender, you could send the CD, whenever you want, and then close right when you get the clear to close.
Exactly.
So that was the benefit at that point in time.
Having the underwriter in-house is...
But you're not there yet.
No. Not there yet.
But what was the vision at that point? That was what you wanted to do?
Exactly. I wanted to get an underwriter on staff. So I was able to control the whole process from start to finish.
Yep. So now, in June of 2020, around that, or it might have been early 2021, because I remember joining the business around June of 2020. That's why I said that. We hired our first underwriter and became fully delegated for conventional business, and shortly thereafter, FHA, because now underwriting, we have a designated underwriter, so that any of those loans we're writing in-house, which allows us to control those turn times a little bit more, move loans up and down the stack, etc.
Correct. So if we need something done today, it gets done today.
Yeah.
I don't have to call anybody.
Yeah.
That was always the case.
Yep.
And that's still the case now if you're working for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You got to call, you're waiting.
Yeah.
Here,
24, 48-hour turn times,
you walk
etc.
down the stairs in our office.
Yeah.
That's basically the biggest thing.
That is great. So my story, in a quick nutshell, I got started probably at 12 years old, I feel like, doing business things. Me, Vito, and my buddy Vinny DeMore and his younger brother had lemonade stands. We did that for 2 or 3 summers. Then you had me get licensed, or not licensed, I don't even know what, for umpiring baseball. I take a test. Yeah, and so I was like 13 umpiring kids that were like 8 or 9, and did that for like 4 or 5 years. And that was great because I was getting paid like $60 to $90 a game commission, I guess. And the more I wanted to work, the more I made, and I actually did pretty well with that. Then got licensed for high school basketball. What do you need for that? I don't even remember.
Same thing. Had to
take a test, pass it, go to classes. So I only did probably like 2 or 3 high school and JV games. I did some like other stuff too, but that was, again, full commission. Like, more games you do, the more money you made. Vito did more of that, which was interesting and funny because we knew a lot of the guys, and it's a good group of guys that referee high school basketball. Did a lot of restaurant gigs, or a couple, busboy, worked at a Four Seasons in Stratford, and knew that I did not want to do that, but I did that for like 6 months, which was a long time, it felt like. Go to college so I went to prep in Fairfield, grew up in Trumbull Public Schools, Fairfield Prep. Vito, a year below me, goes to prep. We both go to Fordham as well. So here's a year below me. That's where Carla went. And during my time at Fordham, I interned after my freshman year at a large mortgage company in Connecticut, got an internship in their closing department through a friend of yours. Then my sophomore year, worked at a real estate investment trust in Manhattan, 5-10 minute walk from Grand Central. They actually invested in mortgage-backed securities. Junior year, worked at Citigroup. Loved that internship. And then coming into my senior year of college, I was like, what am I going to do? I got a full-time offer to go back to Citi. And I kind of was done like partying, and I wanted to start making money. So I remember you and Mom were like, or might have been more Mom, said, why don't you get your mortgage license and work with Dad? And you said, get it just so you have it.
Right. Just so you have it, whether you use it or not.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. But at least you were in the mode of learning and studying. You guys were young. Take the test now. It would have been a breeze, and it was a breeze for you guys.
Yeah.
Take the test, and now you have that behind you. Whether you use it or not didn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Well, October is when I pass, and my senior year, I always tell the story. I said I crammed my classes, so they were Tuesday and Wednesday. Start at 12 noon Tuesday, would end at like Wednesday at 1, and it was 5 classes in that span. So I went down on Tuesday, and I lived at home my senior year. I lived at Fordham the first 3 years. 50-minute drive. I'd go to classes, and then Tuesday night sleep over at Vito's, who had an off-campus apartment, and then go to my classes Wednesday and come home, and then I'd start working with you. Really, I was working, going to open houses, trying to meet agents, putting stuff up on social media to try and like actually help clients and generate business. I did that twice, slept on Vito's futon both times, and my neck hurt, and I said, F that. I said, I'm fucking done. And lived at home, skipped probably 85% of my classes, graduated with like a 1.4 that year, but I already had a full-time offer. And I remember sitting down with Sean Carroll. That was one of the conversations I remember about whether to go back to Citi, do the sales and trading gig, or stay in the mortgage business, and pretty much decided, let's roll the dice in Manhattan and see how it goes. So did that for a year. COVID hits, move home, start working from home, and slowly over the next 3 months as the Fed just starts cutting rates and rates are plummeting, stop working at Citigroup and start working with you more and more until June I start full-time. It was funny. Every time somebody needed Gaetano at Citi, the Wi-Fi was down during COVID. So that's how that worked out. So you'd say right now with where we are with the business, when you had a vision, let's say 2015, 16, to be full delegated correspondent lender, how do we look?
I think we're 150% above what I even imagined. What we have is what I actually imagine as far as the process, having the underwriting here. But what you and your brother have done with the social media, the group of new guys that you guys went out and basically hired to work with us, and they're all young, good kids.
Great guys.
They're good kids.
Great guys.
So that part is over and above what I thought would happen. 15, 16 social media is not like it is today.
Correct, yeah.
So, you kind of, back in the day, again, you would...
Face-to-face phone calls.
You drop sheets off, you do something like that. Now, you can reach 50,000 people by posting something.
Yeah. That's a good background on where we were. Today, coming into this year, the first 3 years in the business, Vito and I focus on building brand and dialing in the process. This year, we've now hired 6 new loan officers, and we're at 10 total. We have 2 that are coming on today based in the Boston market, a third hopefully soon there, and working on a couple more right now that I think we can really help their business grow. I'll talk about a few things. Our core values first and foremost. So the 5 are integrity. So doing the right thing and leading by example. We always want to do right by the customer, and I think that's something that one is 100% from just watching you, the first core value that jumped off the page. Because the core values really are who runs the company, who leads the company, and that's the environment and culture the company is built off of. So 100%, I think that one flows through, and people, when they talk about you, that's what comes up. The second is enthusiasm and passion. Be excited. Show that you care. Sales is a transfer of enthusiasm. You need to be excited. And that 100% is me. I love what I do. Love the business. Love the guys we have on the team. Ops team's great. Jacked up every day to come in. I want to help people. And I know we are positioned so well to grow right now. And if you are energetic, when you talk to people, they are going to reciprocate and be happy to talk to you. It's the most important thing that I've learned. So that fires me up big time. Third thing, commitment. We want to be disciplined and do whatever it takes to get the job done. We want to be the best. We have an awesome team. They do whatever it takes to get it done. Karen, Barb, Rose, Diana, Jen, Veronica. Diana's unbelievable. I mean, up at 5:30 working till 7. She's fantastic. All the sales guys pounding the pavement, following up with clients, answering phones on the weekend, being there. It's what you have to do if you want to be the best. And it takes time to be the best. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're doing everything that we need to get there. Number 4, deep relationships. We're in the people business. You see so many people, mortgage industry, not so much, but a little bit. And I make the joke all the time, has like the slimy salesman reputation. Not so much as like the car business, but you see it and it's out there. Deep relationships. We want to go the extra mile with clients, friends, etc. Get repeat business. Not screw anybody. We're trying to, keep the long term in mind. So what could we do to be the go-to person when people think mortgages, real estate investing, finance? And then the 5th thing is continuous growth. And that's constant self-improvement. That's looking at ourselves, It's looking at our process. What can we do to make things better? How can we build a sustainable and thriving business? And that's just where every week we're looking at, what did we do? Where did we win? What are we doing well? What are we not doing well? What did we learn from that? And how can we improve the business based off that? So I think with those 5 things, we're going to be positioned to recruit people that have the same ideas, morals, and share the same core values. And it's going to help us dial in who those people are. Because we've had some learning experiences. I was going to say issues, but learning experiences in the past where we've tried to bring people on and it did not work. If we had these built out, we would have realized right away it wasn't a good fit.
Exactly.
So those are core values, our 3 uniques. And I love this. It's full house, in-house. So we underwrite and process loans in-house like you talked about. So we have control of the process. We don't have turn times. If we need things done quicker, we can be nimble and move to make that happen. We work with over 45 different banks, credit unions, and debt funds. So as you said earlier with the investors, you kept saying investors when we meant lenders, but today it's investors. We originate loans, process them, underwrite them all in-house, and then we sell them post-closing to investors. And we have 45 of them, and maybe more at this point, that we can sell to. So there's a lot of options for borrowers because all those investors have different criteria in regards to income requirements, asset requirements, down payments, credit scores that they will buy loans from us for. So a lot of options for the different borrower profiles. The second thing for our 3 uniques, family-owned business with a long-term mindset. How long have we been in business?
How old are you?
27, yeah.
Basically, that's the way I figure it out.
Yeah. And you have no plans of retiring. I am 27. I have at least hopefully 30 plus years left in the business. So we have a very long-term mindset. We'd love to have kids, nephews, etc. get involved one day. So we're building lifelong relationships. As I said earlier, we're not trying to think short-term because that causes a lot of problems. If you make each decision thinking 30 years down the road, you're going to do right by the client, your referral partners, and be able to build a sustainable business that people come back to. And we want to win and help every client. When you believe that you're the best at what you do, I think you want to win and help every client. And the third thing is we want to help our clients build long-term wealth through real estate. You've had some experiences with real estate investing, and really, we'd say mom got the family started investing in real estate. And I've seen how it's changed lives in regards to not just financially, but taking pressure off of over an extended time period, what it does to maybe you don't want to work a W-2 salary job. It gives you an opportunity to go full commission or start your own business. And it gives options that allow you to do things because it creates freedom over the long term. And I think that helping our clients do that through education is the most important part. And that's with every client, every consultation we do, every time we're meeting a new referral partner, it's what we're bringing up. Because if we can help a client become educated, they're going to be more confident, going out, looking at homes. How can they build wealth? So that's our third and final is what we want to do. How do you think about that?
So far, so good. Maybe I should have been interviewing you.
Yeah, right? I know at this point, I'm doing all the talking. So we're in a great spot right now. We've got a dialed-in sales process. Ops team, we have every position filled where now systems are built out. Every operating procedure is there. If we need to grow, we could just hire someone into each slot. We have everything figured out there. 2025, we're going to be going into the year with 10 salespeople. And this year, I think we're going to close. It's going to be a lot more. September, best month of the year. October is going to be even better. November, December, who knows what will happen. But typically, It slows down come December, January, February, in the first half of March. But we're coming into the end of September, I think at around 30 to 32 million. We'll probably end up around 40-ish, 45, because October is going to be bigger than September. Might close 5 to 6 million. 2025, goal is to close 100 million. It means we got to close 300 loans at $325,000 per loan, which is 25 per month. Definitely think it's doable. 10-year target, $1 billion in loan, $1 billion in origination. I think we could do that. I think we might do that earlier than 10 years, but that was a nice target, but I think we'll do that much earlier. Talking about AFC Mortgage Group and why somebody might want to work here. We've had a lot of conversations over the last 3 months with salespeople. What would you say the biggest things are in regards to maybe being lean, nimble, family environment? Those are a couple different things.
For the LOs here?
Yeah, for salespeople.
I think the best thing is they can talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. They could either walk into their office or they can call them. Mm-hmm. You know, we're on one side of the building, all the ops. The other side's, you know, mostly the LOs.
Yep.
They just come over and walk. If they have a question on an underwriting or they have a question on a closing, they can just come over and talk to them. You know, the ops people here, and I'm going to say it.
They're great. Best. They're freaking unbelievable.
They work, and, you know, some of
them
do
a great job
early. If they know they have something to do, they don't wait till they come in. They do it at home because, you know, they have the option to work at home sometimes.
Yep.
So they can do it home, and they do it at night because I see it. All of them. They all do that. So the people we have here are excellent right now. Really good people, too.
Yeah, very good people. And not just from the work perspective, but like they're nice people. And we have a lot of people not here in Connecticut too. We have 3 in Florida. Carly, Veronica, Jen, awesome. Diana's in Texas. So our company is starting to have more and more people out of the office almost than in the office. I think having a flat structure is huge. I think salespeople being able to, I always say this, my number one client is the team at AFC Mortgage Group. So that's our salespeople and that's our ops team. Are they happy? Are we helping them grow their business? And that's my number one job is how can I help my salespeople build deeper relationships with their referral partners and clients? How can I open them up to more relationships? Train, coach them to be able to go deeper and maybe go wider with the people that they want to do business with. The second thing is everyone on our ops team, can we make sure that they're happy and that they can successfully support the sales team as well? Because you have to work in tandem. If one isn't working, you know, there's going to be issues, especially if they don't work together. Second client is our referral partners and business partners. And then the third client is our client. If we take care of our sales team, ops team, and our referral partners, we don't have to worry about the client. The first 3 will take care of them. And we're obviously always here, always available. So I think being able to have a structure like that where we can, you know, back to being nimble and being lean. If they have any questions, they could come to anyone on the team. We have channels on Slack that they could reach out to. You could call somebody if you need to. You could walk over to their office and ask a question. Doors always open for you, as it is for me. If somebody needs us and we're in a meeting, like coming into here before doing the podcast, Nick called me up. Hey, this, that on the deal. I said, sounds good. I'm going to this podcast. I'm going to need a little bit longer of a, you know, explanation. I'll call you back when I'm done in about an hour and 15 minutes. So I love that. I think we're doing some great things. I'm super excited to grow. We've got the Philadelphia office, Connecticut, Boston's going to open up soon, and that's going to be huge. I'm very excited for that. I think we're in a good spot.
I do too. You know, when I started, I only had 4 states.
Yeah. Didn't even talk about that.
You didn't talk about that. Now we're up to 17 states.
17. And we'll probably get another 4 to 5 next year at least. Because we always say if we have opportunities in these other states, we'll get licensed there. As we hire more salespeople, they might think of, you know, opportunities that they'll have. So we want to get licensed. And what we did originally is we aren't originating in 6 or 7 of those states. But we have the licenses because as opportunities come up, we don't want to turn them away.
Exactly.
And that's what will continue to happen. And it's the thing of running a business is you know, get licensed in places you're not doing business with the anticipation of doing it. Similar to, you know, hiring more ops to you don't need it right now, but it'll help loosen up the slack. So it's been fun. It's been great. Hopefully we'll do a state of the market with AFC a year from now, closing in on $100+ million. This was good, Dad.
This was good.
The blast. Thank you so much.
Always pleasure, my son.
Oh my God, love you.
Love you too.
See ya. Thank you, guys.